For me, this passage conveys what is perhaps the most important message of the book. I want to strongly emphasize that this is simply and purely my perspective, since it is only my personal point of view. And here, I would like to return to our previous conversation. When we consider the incredible diversity of perspectives, I could even say the absolute infinity of perspectives. To put it simply, this part has resonated with me on a very profound level. I consider it to be an incredibly powerful piece of wisdom. And if more and more of us truly embrace it, we will find that the world begins to transform all around us. I'll try to quote my favorite sentence for you. And it's always the one who knows the absolute least about something who ends up judging the most. Now, let's take a moment to think about our everyday lives. Let's really ask ourselves this important question. Who is it that tends to judge those people all around us? Well, everyone does, starting with ourselves. When do I tend to judge? All day long, from the moment I wake up until I go to bed, though perhaps it stops while I'm asleep. But as soon as we wake up, just start paying close attention. I just had a bad dream. That's a judgment. Bad. I'm anxious because I'm going to have a bad day. Judgment. Which clothes should I wear? I look ugly in this. Judgment. The roll at breakfast is dry. This food is bad. Judgment. I've only been up for 15 minutes, and I can't even count how many minor details and little things I've already judged. You might say that this doesn't matter, that these things are insignificant. I have to agree with you. These really are insignificant little things. Or are they? Isn't it precisely in these small daily events that we get excellent opportunities every day to grow without facing any negative consequences? Because our daily routines come and go in much the same way every single day, they provide us with a truly unique training ground. And even if you happen to not succeed at first, perhaps because you catch yourself once again labeling the things and events around you as either good or bad, nothing happens, as the same opportunity will come around again anyway. Try spending an entire day carefully observing exactly how many labels less conscious people tend to attach to things. Then make a detailed list of them. Just notice how many different labels exist: good, bad, beautiful, or ugly, and all of their countless varied synonyms that we use every single day. Then, once you've collected a few words, start practicing on yourself and try spending a day focusing only on these. Try to avoid using these words. Replace them with something else. Describe things as if you were telling a story and giving an unbiased account of something. For example, if you would say, "I feel bad this morning," instead, try to articulate exactly what you are feeling. "I'm tired, I didn't sleep much, I have a lot of tasks to solve today, and I feel a bit nauseous." With this, you've described the situation, but you haven't judged it. After all, how would you know that this is bad? Maybe your boss will notice that you're not at your best, feel some sympathy for you, and say that they'll assign one of your tasks to someone else, since they see it would be hard for you to do it today. They take a hat off your head, thus reducing your burden. Wow, what a great boss. Does that even exist? Let's suppose yours is exactly like that. If you notice, I was also being judgmental. What does it mean to be a good boss? Good for whom? For me, definitely today. But is it also good for the person who got your work? For them, it's an extra burden. So what should we say instead of good? Maybe we could use the word fair instead. So your boss, for example, is a fair boss. That's not a label, it's a characteristic, specifically a divine characteristic. And in this case, a just and reasonable employer could even provide an additional bonus to the colleague who works more. But then, who will be at a disadvantage here? Well, the company, because the boss is, so to speak, throwing money out the window for nothing. Or is he? What kind of reaction will your boss's attentive attitude like this provoke in you? That he noticed you were having a tough and exhausting day. And not only did he notice, but he took it upon himself to make a decision to ease your burden, giving your colleague extra money for doing more work. And believe me, in the long run, this modest initial investment will even yield dividends for the company. Because with a supportive boss like this, if you truly take advantage of his genuine goodwill, the workplace will develop such a positive work ethic that you'll consistently deliver much higher quality results in a good atmosphere. Consequently, you'll have fewer and fewer mornings filled with stress and anxiety. You will naturally find yourself giving it your absolute all to perform at your very best. And humanity is facing exactly such a transformation. This is not a utopia. It has already begun and it will come to fruition. And where will this lead us? Allow me to quote for you the continuation of the sentence. And the more someone knows, the less likely they are to judge others. And from very small things come great things. You start with your small and simple everyday routines and gradually expand them. And you'll notice that you're able to evaluate things with complete objectivity even in your major decisions. Because in a decision-making situation, it is absolutely vital to be fully conscious of the situation. We can only achieve this if we carefully describe exactly what is occurring around us in an impartial manner. You might ask whether we should also avoid attaching positive labels to things. Why shouldn't I say how beautiful the sunshine is? There's nothing wrong with that, but here too, the saying holds true. Big things come from small things. And if we look more closely, beautiful for whom? Let's say for me. The mole, for example, doesn't really prefer it. He likes to be underground. So if we absolutely want to express how incredibly beautiful the morning sunshine is, we can add that for me. The bright sunshine is just so beautiful. But it develops us even more if, even with such small things, we give a description instead. The warm sunshine gives me so much pure joy. I feel like I gain a lot of energy from it. It truly inspires me. I would like to further expand upon the train of my thoughts with this sentence, which I will now read aloud directly from the pages of this book. At that point, you will begin to perceive and understand the entire universe in such a complete and comprehensive way that, to be perfectly honest with you, you will be unable to take anything from it without knowing that it would disrupt the functioning of the whole. What a truly wonderful and profound thought! We tend to think that if no one sees us and we do something that disrupts the order of the world, there will be no real consequences as long as only we know about it. And anyway, it's not such a big deal. There's nothing wrong with it. For example, a tiny bit of intentional dishonesty, a faint little white lie, that supposedly won't really have a significant impact on my partner's life too much, in my opinion. Well, if you think like that, then I have to tell you, my friend, that you're mistaken. Because there's no such thing as only you knowing and no one else. There is someone who is always there with you and inside you. For example, they know. Or if you've ever heard of the idea of the butterfly effect, you know that a single flap of a butterfly's wings on one side of the earth can eventually cause a tornado on the other side. So, there is no such thing as a white lie. You can't explain that away to me. If you choose to tell even a small, seemingly minor lie, that is still a significant decision, and you really have no way of knowing what kind of unpredictable chain of events your innocent little fib might set in motion, or what sort of difficult consequences you may eventually have to face because of it much later down the road. Don't forget your mother's words. If you take something from the world, you severely disrupt the delicate functioning of the entire system. And the effect might only come back to you much later, when something quite unpleasant and unexpected happens to you, and you won't even realize that the seemingly insignificant little white lie you set in motion weeks earlier has been out there ever since, continuously traveling all the way around the world as a kind of powerful burst of energy, going from person to person, and then it eventually returns to you, finds its way back to its original owner, and something happens to you as a direct result. You don't necessarily have to think of something drastic. Maybe you just get a headache and have a migraine all day, and you have no idea why this happened to you. You blame the unpredictable weather, you blame your partner, you even blame God, and yet it never once occurs to your mind that you are the one who made the final decision. You disrupted the system. Now you set a powerful energy in motion. That poor energy is just doing its job, wandering around aimlessly, and then it finds its way back to its owner, to you, and finally, order is restored. Remember, everything always has a price, but we don't always know it in advance. In fact, most of the time, we don't know what the price is for what. The universe is in a perpetual and unending state of internal reorganization, and at the same time, it keeps expanding outward into the void, growing and steadily becoming ever more complex and complete. And this goes on infinitely. Yes, it's true. It's hard for the human mind to grasp that the universe is not constant. It is in a state of continuous change. You can't truly say you know something with absolute certainty, because in the blink of an eye it could become something completely different. If you cultivate true inner wisdom, you will be able to perceive the world and all things exactly as they are right now. You carefully observe and describe exactly how something is at this very specific moment in time without any judgment. And if you happen to gain a profound sense of divine intuition and insight, you may also see what it could potentially become if it continued to evolve further. But that has not yet come to pass. It simply contains the inherent potential for future development. In the best possible case, it will develop everything that it needs to, and eventually reach the most complete and perfect version of itself. Let me reassure you now, this is within you as well. Take a long look in the mirror, and let me tell you today, even if it feels invisible, that what you see there is nothing less than a wonderful and unique possibility. See also who you are now, where you are at this moment. Feel how your former, less developed self would have been so proud if it could have seen in advance exactly what you would eventually become. And now, try to look at yourself in such a way that in that reflection you see in the mirror a person at the absolute peak of their development, perfectly divine, looks back at you. Someone who already lives in a state of perfect harmony, deep peace and tranquility, fully united with God. There is no longer any trace of fear left within them, only a profound sense of certainty. There is not even a faint spark of falsehood remaining in them, only unwavering integrity, boundless love, divine justice, and wisdom. Shall I tell you the secret? One day you will become that. This is a fact. You will never be able to escape from it. For God is surely drawing each and every soul back to Himself. In time, you will become this. And if you take a moment to look at your reflection in the mirror every day, you can draw incredible strength from this beautiful and hidden possibility that will one day inevitably blossom into a reality. But the bud is already there. That blossoming bud is you. It is deep inside you, and it will grow out of you. So do not be impatient. Let your heart be filled with aspiration. Focus on your own work. Never interfere with the natural workings of the world. Walk your own chosen path and become the person you are truly meant to be. This is the most wonderful hope for us humans. Looking in the mirror is also part of our daily routine. How many times have you thought that the one looking back at you is actually the solution to all your difficulties? Well, if from now on you look at yourself with this new attitude, you can draw such an immense strength from the promise within you, from this vast divine potential, that you will finally realize you have absolutely nothing to fear. A divine being does not fear. What could it possibly be afraid of? Fear is merely the painful state of consciousness of beings who dwell in ignorance. But you are becoming more and more conscious. Fearlessness is also an exciting topic for the mother, but we will talk about that later. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. We've reached the next sentence, which I will read from the book. There are various specific elements that help us successfully achieve and realize this true and genuine consciousness. At the same time, there are also significant obstacles and challenging factors that obstruct us on the path, hold us back, and may even actively work to undermine our continued progress. Keeping all of these considerations in mind, let us expand our spiritual perspective even further and say, this path is truly divine. This helps me to reach God. While that works against God, that is the enemy of God. Here the mother goes on to describe how we can successfully bring about that this divine being, standing at the peak of consciousness, whose beginnings we see in our own reflection, may fully manifest within us. This is the path. We consciously seek out the factors that help us. In fact, that's exactly what you're doing right now, since you have decided to allow the Mother's divine consciousness into yourself. You have provided her with an open path. Of course, that is only one aspect of the process. The other is the task of identifying the hindering factors and systematically eliminating these obstacles from our daily lives, or shifting our perspective towards them if we find that we cannot completely get rid of them. Before an individual can eventually reach this state of consciousness, it is inevitable that there will be struggle. And where there is struggle, there also exists the power of choice. And because of the immense power of choice, you need the essential ability to discern and understand the true nature of all things. In order to acquire this profound ability, you must consciously and with a strong, unwavering will surrender yourself completely to the infinite divine will and supreme guidance. Let this be the fullest possible self-surrender that you can ever offer. Then you will surely not make any errors in judgment, and neither deceptive nor false lights will ever lead you astray from the true and righteous path. And this beautifully concludes everything that we have talked about today. I consider today's video to be of such profound importance that I strongly suggest that you take the time to read through this section several times. If we read carefully and allow these thoughts to deeply influence our inner perspective, truly wonderful and life-changing experiences will surely await us. We will begin to look at the world and, of course, at ourselves in the mirror from a completely new and refreshing perspective every single day. Let's summarize the most important teachings from today's video. We previously talked about two very significant and thought-provoking sentences from the book, which go exactly as follows. And it is always the one who knows the absolute least about something who judges the most. And the more someone truly knows, the less they tend to judge. We discussed how it is precisely in the small mundane things and the simple events of our everyday lives that we are given truly excellent opportunities to grow and learn without any negative consequence. You start with your everyday little routines, and gradually you expand this practice, and you'll notice that even when it comes to your big decisions, you're able to judge objectively. Because in a decision-making situation, it is absolutely crucial to be aware of the surrounding circumstances. Let me remind you of the words of the mother. If you remove a specific element from the world, you disrupt the natural balance and functioning of the system. Remember, everything always has its price, but we don't always know in advance. In fact, most of the time we don't know what the price of something is. We also highlighted the following train of thought, which went something like this. If you attain wisdom, you will be able to see how a thing is right now. You will also be able to see the magnificent form it could eventually take if it continued to develop. But that has not yet fully manifested in our reality. It merely contains within itself the potential for development. Look in the mirror, and I'll tell you, though you cannot see it, that what you see is nothing less than a truly remarkable and wonderful possibility. And if you look at yourself in the mirror, each and every day, you can draw a sense of strength from this wonderful possibility that will inevitably unfold and blossom one day. But the bud is already there. That bud is you. It is within you, and it will grow out of you. So do not be impatient. Let your heart be filled with aspiration. Do your work. Never interfere with the workings of the world. Follow the path set before you, and become who you are meant to be. We also talked about how a divine being is completely beyond the reach of fear. What would it have to fear? Fear is merely a painful state of mind for beings who dwell in ignorance, but you are becoming more and more conscious. Last but certainly not least, perhaps the most essential message of this video was the following point right here. We should consciously seek out the factors that help us. Of course, that's one important part of it. The other is identifying and recognizing, and then systematically eliminating the factors that prevent us from moving forward, from our lives. If you feel that this video has given you a new kind of momentum, a new impulse on your path of spiritual growth, if you feel that it stirred something within you, if your soul resonated with what was said here, feel free to give it a like. If it sparked further thoughts in you, feel free to write a comment, or you can even send me an email. If something from today's video really resonated deeply with you, and you'd like to share your joy with others, please don't hesitate for a moment. Feel free to share the video with your friends. By taking these simple actions, you also contribute to ensuring that these profound truths become a living reality for all those who, for whatever reason, find themselves needing to encounter one or another of the insights shared here in their lives. If you'd like to follow my video series, feel free to hit the subscribe button on my channel right now. New videos will be released every single Wednesday and Saturday. If you would like to progress through the material a bit faster, or if it is important for you to have the physical book in your own home library, you can easily purchase both the printed book and the complete audiobook on my official website, oromir.eu. I would now like to introduce the very next video in this series, which I have titled, "And this is exactly where growth begins." Where does true growth actually start? And what is the one thing that is an indispensable prerequisite for any kind of spiritual development. You'll find out in the next video. So please come and join me, Zsoka Fodor, and of course Mirra Alfassa, who is known as the Mother. Once again, thank you for being here. May the Mother's abundant blessings accompany you on your journey. Goodbye.